was gonna like make a chronic pain joke. My back's killing me right now, but now I don't know what the front parts of my hair are doing. There was like 30 seconds of me trying to deal with them that I obviously cut out. We're just ignore them. We're just ignore them. And you know, we're just living our best life, wishing it was spring. I mean, technically it's spring, I'm pretty sure. But outside, it's still snow on the ground. So, we're just living our best life in a dress, hoping and wishing it was spring. While chronic pain is like, hey, but thriving, because Arthurian retellings, that's what this is, Arthurian retellings. 9 out of 10 times, I love an Arthurian, anything. So, you know, this is gonna be a good time. Actually, you know what I should grab? Well, I keep that in. We will never know. Yes, I did spend $25 on this collector's edition, leather bound, got a blue ribbon, gold edges, there's also artwork on the inside. Very tiny font. Of, the original, Le Morte d'Arthur. Yeah, no. It's a chonky boy. I will reread it someday. It's like 700 pages, I think. Over 700. 750-ish. Like, I haven't read any version other than, like, this kid's story version, right? So, I bought this a few years ago, and I haven't read the full thing yet. But that's fine. That's fine. But I do have this. And I feel like it's important that I say that I have it so I can just show it off. Because, like, it's so pretty. There's also artwork on the back. That's just the thing. This is the price. But yeah. I love Arthurian retellings. Yes, I did throw it laying on my bed. It's fine. And they're a good time. My favorite book of 2022 was Legendborn. Which I am also rereading this month. But, you know, that's because one of the books for this vlog is bloodmarked. So chunky. Oh my god. This was a fun time. I pre-ordered this. This is the one and only time I've ever pre-ordered anything, right? And hear me out. It didn't get here until like a week and a half later. And I was following the tracking, right? And it just made a giant loop until I got to Vermont. And I was like, what the hell? It started out closer to me, and then it went south, and then I believe it went east, not west, and then it went back up, and then it came to me. I don't know. But, I do plan to reread Legendborn before I read this. This will be the book that I read with me for the next 4 months after April, right? Which I totally have to film. I love Cell. He is my phone background. I love him. I love the first book. I'm very excited to read this. Do I have anything else to say about this? Here's the thing. I think 2 of the books for this vlog are next books in series. I mean, this is only a duology. Which means I can't talk much about it without going to spoilers, right? But just know I love the first one. I'm very excited to finally read this. It was on my 23 and 2023 list, so like also knocking one off of that. Finishing a series, we love that. And I'm very excited to get to this. Good times, good times. And if you're wondering how I'm gonna be able to do this, because that's a chunky book, don't worry, I'm ahead of schedule. It's fine. It's fine. I guess we'll go to an ebook because there's 2 ebooks. I do this thing where if I see something Arthurian, I tend to just buy it. It's fine. Once in future, I don't know much about it. I think it's gay, but I'm not sure. The cover looks pretty cool. I mean, you can see the cover right now. It looks pretty cool. It was between this or one other one from the original list, because things got moved around. But, yeah. I'm excited to read it. I don't remember if it's part of a series or not. So, you know, good times. But, yeah, that's another one. Now, I'm pretty sure this one starts the series. This is Half Sick of Shadows by Laura Sebastian, right? Yeah. And if I remember from reading the synopsis for the TBR video, right? Basically, she, like, knows the future. The main character knows the future. And is, like, hanging out with the crew, which is, like, Morgana, Merlin, and Arthur. Maybe it's Lancelot? Gwen, Lancelot, and Morgana, right, is the crew following Arthur. And she knows what's supposed to happen, so it's like, oh, I think it's gonna be like this whole thing of her trying to figure out if she's gonna try to stop it, or if, like, it's destiny and all this stuff, which I'm intrigued by. Also, another thing, I was gonna do the other ebook, and then talk about the last physical book, like, last, because that's the one I started today, which is why I'm filming this now, on the, 8th of April? It's fine. But when I was seeing, what the crew's, who's, like, in the crew, I saw that her name's Elaine. And now this is where, me not having read the original in, like, years and years and years, except for, like, the children's versions, right? Right? Is this making sense? I don't know. Is that I didn't remember didn't know one thing about one character. Don't worry, it's brought up in the first 17 pages of this, which is how much I've read of this. I started at Avalon High today. That's why I'm filming this intro. But basically, the main character in this is named Elaine. That's the same main character as, her name's also Elaine. Or Ellie, like, she's named after the character Elaine, or person Elaine. Who, according in this book, was the kind of girlfriend of Lancelot, kind of, right? Until he fell in love with Guinevere and chose her over Elaine, and so Elaine killed herself. Which, now, knowing that, and then seeing that her name's Elaine, I'm scared. But it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, no, it's a good thing I read this one, started to read this one first, because, like, I wouldn't have connected the dots otherwise, but that's fine. Yeah, those are the other two. And then the ebook. I mean, I guess I could go into this one. This is so wild, I don't know what's happening in this anymore. This is, a good time. I don't remember when this one came out. I don't remember, but I know the movie came out in 2010. I think I looked it up last night. There was a Disney original movie, based off of this, that I've read, or not read, I've watched quite a few times. So I saw this at a thrift store a few years ago. Bessie likes to take me to thrift stores, and then I buy, like, 10 books for, like, $2. It's a good time. That's where I get most of my books, honestly. But I saw this, and I was like, well, why not? It was, like, 25 cents, okay? Like, why wouldn't I? And yeah, basically the main character's name is Elaine. I mean, I'm gonna know the plot twist, right? I don't know if the plot twist is gonna be the same in this as it is in the movie, where she is actually Arthur, right? Because that's how it goes in the movie, is, like, she thinks she's, like, she starts to notice all the people in her school are, like, people that, the legend is, like, she thinks they're the same people, right? Reincarnations, basically. She thinks the lacrosse guy, I think he plays lacrosse, I don't know, Jock is, that she has a crush on, is Arthur. His best friend is Lancelot. His girlfriend, who is having an affair, or cheating on him with the guy who's supposed to be Lancelot, is Guinevere, right? The nerdy kid is Merlin. There's, like, this bad boy, I remember because I was looking at the character, or looking up the movie in general, and I saw the actors, and I was like, wait a second, who's that? And then I realized that was the guy that they thought was Mordred, but wasn't Mordred. The teacher was Mordred, and he was just a random knight, I think. But it turns out she's Arthur all along, and the reason why she knows any of this stuff about the original legend, because, like, I'm pretty sure normal people don't know this amount of information, is because her parents are professors, and her dad specifically well, both of her parents specifically are into medieval stuff. If it's not obvious by the fact that they named her after a person from the legend, right? So far, the writing style in this, not the big fan. I think this is gonna be the last Meg Kevin I ever do. Thankfully, this is a standalone. And it's only 288 pages. If I go for it, I can probably read the whole thing today, honestly, because the font size is pretty big. Also, each chapter starts with, like, a little poem. Which is cool, because I think she's mentioned something about, Elaine, and there being a poem, and her parents were really liking the poem, that's why they named her after her, and all that fun stuff. But basically, she's just moved to this new town. School hasn't even started yet. She does writing a lot, but also, she, like, the place that both her parents are on sabbatical, so they just moved, into this place, and they're renting out this place of another professor who's on sabbatical as well. And there's like a pool, and so she spends like the whole entire summer in the pool, and her mom like complains that she spends the whole summer in the pool. And I was like, also, like, there was like 5 pages about pool maintenance, and I was just sitting here just like, yes, fun times. Also, the way that she was like, she enjoys cleaning the pool, and the way I'm the same way. Hear me out. I don't even use the pool enough to like rationalize why I'm the one that cleans the pool. I just clean the pool because it's a good time. That's actually how I read, is it New Moon, the second one? I listen to the audiobook a lot when I clean the pool. Also, sometimes I listen to podcasts, my D&D podcast. It's a good time. But yeah, I don't really like her writing style. It's very early 2000s, which like makes sense, kind of, but it's like middle-aged woman trying to write how she expects early 2000s teenagers to be, and it's just eye-rolling, annoying, but like it's only 280 pages. I can get through it. Also, I'm pretty sure she's about to meet a love interest guy who she thinks is Arthur. I think she just ran into him in the park. So good times. And yeah, I may try to watch the movie after I watch it or finish this. Good times. I don't know, but yeah, that's that one. And then there's the second book of the Camelot Rising series was the name of it, The Camelot Betrayal. I read the Guinevere Deception in January, so it's in one of those vlogs at least, right? And I liked it. Listen, it took me a long time to read it. Like, I was reading it from end of November all the way through most of January, because it was like a book where, like, when I put it down, I didn't want to pick it back up type thing, but like when I was reading it, I was having a fun time. The issue is that the chapters are like pretty long, right? So I would put it down a lot, but like getting through it was easy. I did like it. I'm still suspicious of Arthur. I stand by this. Basically, the first book, I'll give the rundown of what that one is, because I can't really do this one without spoiling, but basically, Guinevere is not actually Guinevere, like the original Guinevere died, and she is the daughter of Merlin, right? Magic is illegal in Camelot, and so he's been kicked out, and in order to protect Arthur, she has been sent in, like, pretend Guinevere type sense, because no one knows that Guinevere is dead, really, to pretend to be, like, his wife. They get married, they have, like, a kind of a romance, where, like, she's into him, but, like, he's the king and all the stuff, and she's just, like, this random magic person who's trying to use magic discreetly to save his life, but also, like, a bunch of other stuff is happening. And Mordred is his nephew. There's, like, a lot of stuff with the family stuff where, like, his dad assault on his mom, who I think was somehow related to Mordred's mom. I'm trying to connect the dots in my head and it makes no sense, okay? It's a little complicated. And then there's also the lady in the lake. There was some stuff with that, and good times. Listen, I have so many theories, and it's a good time, and yeah, that's basically that. Also, Lancelot, oh my god, Lancelot is a woman. And hear me out. I love it in retellings when they make Lancelot or Arthur a female. And so that it's just usually Lancelot, right? And then it's just all this other stuff is happening. But then it's also like kind of this romance between Guinevere and Lancelot. But they're both the woman, and then also Guinevere and Arthur. Like, I love it. I don't know why. I mean, maybe because it's gay. Hear me out. If it's a throuple, I will die happy. I don't think it's gonna be a throuple though. I do not get that vibe between Arthur and Lancelot in this. Arthur is very much like loves Lancelot in the fact that like Lancelot is really good soldier. And when Lancelot originally tries to become a soldier for the kingdom, and everyone's like, no, you're a woman. Arthur is like, I wish I could make you one. And then she kind of becomes the personal guard to Guinevere. That's not really a spoiler. So, yeah, hear me out. My brain, listen, every time there's like a cute romantic scene between Gwen and Arthur, I was like, meh. I don't trust Arthur for some reason, okay, in these books. But Lancelot twirled her around or lifted her off a horse at one point, and I was like, I'm into it. I'm into it. I'm also pretty sure she gave her a piggyback ride, which, like, according to every romance book I've read this year so far, that means they're meant to be. So. But yeah, that's the 5 books that I'm reading for this vlog. I just rambled for like 15 minutes, so like, let's see how much of it's used. And I'm gonna go read more of this book, Avalon High. We'll see. I'll probably update you tomorrow, which is Easter. I just remembered that. I'll either update you tomorrow or Monday. Really depends. But yeah, that is the plan. Hello, welcome to this corner. I've had a stressful 5-6 hours, so this is the look we're going for. Because my hair looks nice. But I did finish. I read all of this yesterday. And I didn't mind it. I think my issue is just Meg Cabot's writing, especially the earlier stuff, like early 2000s stuff, very much gives middle-aged white woman trying to write teenagers from 2000s, which doesn't really work. It was just eye-rolling levels. I thought I heard a door downstairs. But yeah, that's that. That was my main issue. A few other little issues, like sometimes characters being dumb AF. The hot take, I prefer the movie. Okay, so he actually is Arthur. Everyone thinks that she's Elaine. His stepbrother is Mordred, which is different from the movie. I'll explain that in a second, because the teacher is Merlin, and in the movie, another student who is like the nerd kid is Merlin, and the teacher is actually Mordred, and the stepbrother is a just a random knight, and the red herring the whole entire movie, right? So that was different, which means she's not Arthur, which like makes sense in the way that like how Jen is Guinevere, and Lance is Lancelot. It wouldn't really work in that same way if she was Arthur, like, right? So like it fixes that plot hole in the movie, but I still prefer the movie to this because I didn't like it. I guess the plot twist with the stepbrother very early on, right? And then the whole entire time everyone thought she was this character Elaine, and I'll talk about that in a second. And every single time someone would bring it up, she's like, guys, I've never had an interest in Lancelot. Like, the most I've had is, like, her friends think she's into Lance, and she's just there like, nah. She just lets them make fun of her for being into Lance when she's actually into Will, and Will has, like, a girlfriend. So, she doesn't want them to figure out that she has a thing for Will, right? And that's, like, a whole thing. And so like multiple times the teacher is like part of the Society of the Bear to protect Arthur and all this stuff, and he's all like, you are late, you can't do anything, blah blah blah. Mordred or Marco is all like, well, you're in love with the wrong man, you dumb idiot, like, why don't you just go float away? I'll talk about that. But yeah, no, turns out she's not Elaine. Hot take. She literally yelled at multiple people multiple times, like, I'm not this well, not fictional, but this person from a poem 1,000 years ago. Like, that's not me, fam. And it took until the very end for them to realize she's not. And when I tell you the last 100 pages, I was like, wait a second, she's the Lady of the Lake, isn't she? Everyone thought she was Elaine, 1, because of the name, but 2, because all summer she spent floating on the pool. She likes floating. And this is where I'll come into the original, where I'll go more into it, but like she is on a boat, like she dies. I'll go into it. But her wishes after she died was to be put on this boat and pushed away. So she floated on this boat for X amount of days until Arthur found her, and then a bunch of other stuff happened. So like the fact that she floats on a boat, the fact that she likes floating, everyone just assumes she's Elaine. And she's like, the only thing Elaine and I have in common is that we both like to float, but I like to float in a pool on a raft, and she likes to float on a boat after she's dead. Like, we're not the same person. And it turns out, no, she is the lady that, like, they're all fucking dumb. Yeah. And that's that. My thoughts on that. I didn't really care for any of the characters. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it. Some character decisions felt a little weird to me. Like, there's this one part after the affair between Lance and Jennifer comes out, and Jennifer is crying in the bathroom, and Elaine goes in there and she sees that it's her, and she's like, oh, you okay? Because she's like one of the few people who knows what's happening, right? Well, I think the whole school knows that she cheated on Will, but like, she's one of the few people who is like actually there for it and understands that she loved Will, and all this stuff. And so they're like having this conversation, and basically by the end of it, Jennifer's like, you should date Will, because then people stop nagging on me for cheating on Will, and all this stuff. And Elaine's thought process is, oh, I like Jennifer because she's so real for that and selfless. I'm like, the whole entire reason she wants them to be together, she literally says it, is so that people will stop nagging at her so she can up her personal image again. Like, are you serious? Also, the whole reason why she cheated on Will, her excuse is that Will liked to start talking and didn't want to do football anymore, and how dare he? At least Lance will always do football. I will stand by that Elaine and Will be a cute couple in this universe, because, and hear me out, they do have the serious conversations and it's really sweet. But there's like a bunch of side drama and all that fun stuff. It does not matter. I didn't like it. Also, the way that, like, the whole entire cheating thing was just brushed past, because, like, Will was fine with it, because, like, he thinks that they'd be a cute couple. And hear me out, this is, like, for, like, young teenagers, like, 14-year-old kids. Don't condone cheating in 14-year-olds, please. I was a little iffy about how Elaine handles the whole thing when she catches them. But, like, I get her reasoning, her thought process. Like, she was very much like, Will has to know, someone has to tell him, I don't know if it should be me, and all this stuff, but, like, I feel bad not telling Will, and all this stuff. And then the way that Marco does it, she's like, listen, he needed to know, but he did not need to know that way, which, like, I agree. Now let's talk about the actual Elaine. I mentioned, I think I showed it at the beginning of each chapter, there's like a part of this poem, I think it's a stanza, that is the poem that the most conglomerate, I think, story of Elaine is. I looked her up. And in one of them, they call her the half sick of Shadow, right? I assume that's like her depression after the whole him trying to pay her off this thing. Which is the name of the other book, which the reason why I'm talking about it now is I think that's going to be the next book I read for this vlog. It's not going to be for a bit, because it's like Easter. I'm way ahead, but like that is kind of the next plan. I want to read that one next, right? Especially since hearing about Elaine in this, I just want to read about Elaine. I know that Elaine in this book was hating on the original Elaine the whole entire time, but like, no, I get it. Not even the, like, whole killing herself over a guy not liking her back. No, the way that, I very heavily think that she was through a depressive episode. And I will explain. Because the actual late story, I looked it up. So basically, there was, like, this whole tournament. Her father was, like, a lord of some kind. And he was hosting a tournament. A bunch of knights from Camelot came. Guinevere was there. Lancelot originally was supposed to show up, but he ended up showing up. He shows up at the castle, or wherever the lord lives, right? And he's like, hey, and she talks him into fighting the tournament, and gives him like a good luck charm, which is like a thing the ladies did, to kind of like show that they're into them, right? But he doesn't want the knights to know that he's him, so he borrows one of her brother's shields to like pretend to be someone else, just like a faceless knight, and he does pretty good. Like, he defeats a bunch of them, but he eventually gets stabbed, as she basically takes care of him and brings him back to his normal self and whatnot. And the whole entire time, they having conversations, I assume, having good times, because she's the one taking care of him. And he realizes at the end of it, when he goes to leave, that she's into him. And so his solution is to try to pay her off. Which, like, offends her. Yeah, same, right? And whatnot. So he leaves, and she realizes that he's in love with Guinevere, and that's why. And so what I assume happens is she goes into a depressive episode because of this. Because it said that I think it was 10 days that she didn't eat or drink anything, something like that. So it wasn't like she just had no will to live, which, like, same. And then she dies from it. Her dad follows her wishes and puts her on a boat and sends her off. At which point, Arthur eventually finds her and is like, "Oh, who is this?" She has, like, a note that she wrote for Lancelot. So Lancelot comes up and he's like, "Oh, that's Elaine," and reads the note, in which he learns that she died because of her unwillingness to live, and all this stuff. And he feels so bad that he pays her funeral rites. And I don't know why I laughed at this. Like, these are extravagant. And he's like, "Oh, shit. Let me pay for her funeral." I don't know why I laughed. I don't know. But I did. And I find that very funny. Now, this is all to say, I'm going to read Half Sick of Shadows next. I don't know when, but I'm going to do it soon. I'm highly excited. And yeah, I should mention I rated this 2.5 stars. And I don't think I'll read it Meg Cabot ever again. I'm good. I don't need it. Where's Morgana in this? That was the real question. Anyways, I'm good. I don't think Meg Cabot is... I think I would have liked her. I think the one book I did enjoy of hers, I read when I was in, like, middle school / 9th grade, right? So young teenager age, which is, I think, the age I would have enjoyed this. Which is just a real shame because this came out in 2005. I totally would have loved it. Like, hell, I would have loved it then. I was 6. I would have loved it then. It's a real shame. But it's whatever. And yeah. I'll talk to you whenever I get any words with Half Sick of Shadows. I don't even know when I'm going to pick that up, but it's an option. Ignore my hair. I just washed it, so it's really curly. But it's been over a week, exactly 8 days. I actually remember this vividly because it was Easter Sunday when life stuff started to happen. And I was like, it'll be fine, probably. Someone tell her. Because, anyways, it's been, like, a whole week. Yesterday was the Sunday after Easter Sunday. So, and I have not finished a book for this vlog. I mean, I did read 3 whole other books to finish the other vlog since then. And then also, you know, or was it actually 2? I don't know. But also, like, I'm in the middle of 3 other books, and they all have to do with this vlog. So I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna talk about it much because this isn't actually the one I'm reading for the vlog. I'm actually reading Bloodmarked for the vlog, which I have not started, obviously, because I'm rereading this. I'm only like 40 pages in, not much, but I have already gone through. I just listened to, like, YouTube videos, had them on in the background while I went through and read all the annotations I did beforehand, into the new style I want to do. That will be the style that I do for the second one. That's basically why I got new highlighters and new pens, and the highlighter I used in this one I did not like. It was too dark of a color to, like, properly see the text underneath, right? So with the new highlighters and pens, that's what I would have used for the second one. So in order to make it so they're the same style, redid all the ones I had for this. And let me tell you, even though I'm 40% into this, or 40 pages, I love Cell so much. Just, like, glimpsing at some sentences and paragraphs while I was, like, erasing and re-highlighting. How did I forget that he calls her love in Welsh at the end of this book? Literally, like, the second to last page. And she's just, like, she's like, I don't know what that means, but I'm just gonna move on with my life. Yeah, it's great. I honestly should just sit down and read it. I mean, this is, like, the perfect day to read this book. Well, any book really, because it's like a nice rainy day. I should just sit down and read. But as I said, life stuff has happened, like a lot of it, and so instead I'm re-watching Grey's Anatomy. It's fine. I'm doing fine. That's a lot, but that's fine. One of the other books I'm in the middle of is the Camelot Rising one, the second one. I don't remember the name of it, but you'll briefly see the book cover. I'm only 17% into it. That's like 2 different separate days I've read that much, and I don't know, I did find the audiobook of it, which I loved, because it did take me like 2 months. It took me like an obscene amount of days to read the first one. Like, I should actually look it up. I have it written down, so I will go look it up, because Guinevere Deception was the 11th book I finished this year, right? Read in January. 57 days. Oh god, which is hilarious because I rated it 4 stars. Like, I liked it. I just had an issue picking it back up, which I kind of have the same issue with it today. Like, the only reason I've ever picked it up so far is because I recognized that I hadn't actually read anything yet, and it was like 10 p.m. and I should probably read something. But I'm like half asleep, so I'll listen to the audiobook while I read along on my phone. Like, for like an hour. That's it. It's fine. I don't want to go into much, because second book in a series. But basically, so far not much has happened. They're trying to find the Dark Queen after stuff that happened at the end of the last book. Lancelot is being mistreated by a lot of people because she is a woman, but a knight. But she's Guinevere's knight, so like, she's not a knight, all this stuff. Right. And then there's stuff where Guinevere's, like, the real Guinevere's sister has shown up, and it's like this whole thing where it's not really a spoiler. It's brought out pretty early in the book that Guinevere isn't the real Guinevere. The real Guinevere died multiple years earlier, and Merlin made it so everyone believed that the Guinevere that we know in the book is Guinevere, though she doesn't know her real name. She doesn't remember all this stuff, so that she could be brought into the inner circle by marrying Arthur and be close to him, so that she could use her magic to protect him, because the magic was out. Lord, am I making sense? I don't know. Right? But now Guinevere, the real Guinevere's sister, has showed up, and it's like low-key an issue because she acted like she recognized Guinevere. So they don't know if she's like the actual sister. She'd be someone else completely. Or if like she was given the real Guinevere's face, because like no one knows that the real Guinevere died. And it's like this whole thing where Merlin has like removed a lot of her memories to give her like magic knowledge about magic. He like basically forced knowledge into her head, and in the process it like removed other things like her real name and stuff like that, which I wish it did more on. Like, every once in a while it's brought up that she like doesn't have her real memories and she can't trust her memory, and it's like brought up like every once in a while, but like then it's just dropped and moved on, and I'm like, that would like be cool to go into, but what do I know? So now she doesn't even know if she can trust her own face. If he like forced her to have her face as well and all this stuff. So that's kind of the thing that's going on. Still don't trust Arthur. Literally the whole time that they're, wow, I love how me talking with my hands made my watch think I've walked 7,000 steps. I love that. But basically she's explaining the stuff that like Guinevere's sisters here, what that could mean, all this stuff, and he's like undoing her hair for her, like unbraiding it for her, and then he like puts his hand on her face when she's all like, this like may not even be my face, this may be her face, and we just didn't know it. Ignore the light flickering. And the way he did it felt very good, not even like he owned her almost, and the way that he demands not even things of her, but like makes her do things that she would rather not do. It's not even like big things, like forcing her to go back home instead of stay somewhere with him so that he can handle issues on his own. And like, I get the why on his side, but also like he knows how that makes her feel, so then he continuously does it, right? Like, I don't know if I'm crazy for not liking him. I don't know. By the end of this trilogy, I swear if he turns out that he's actually the good guy, I'm just gonna feel like I'm fucking dumb. Okay? And I think that's about it. Oh, there's this thing, it's been brought up multiple times already, where I am like basically at this point 100% sure there's gonna be a thing by the end of this book. Like the end of the book is gonna be Lancelot getting orders from Arthur, and Guinevere giving her separate orders, and she's gonna have to choose which one to follow. Because multiple times already, Guinevere internally has been like, what if I give Lancelot different orders? What will she do? I don't want to have to put Lancelot in that position, all this stuff. Like, it's been brought up multiple times. Like, it was brought up within like the first like 20 pages, like, right? And it like low-key already happened, basically, like when she was telling the whole story of like the real Guinevere sisters here. He was like, Lancelot, leave, and she's like, Lancelot already knows, like, it's fine. But Lancelot just leaves anyways, and stuff like little stuff like that has happened. But I'm expecting like a big thing to happen at the end, and she's gonna have to choose between Guinevere or Arthur. Also, like, there's a bunch of stuff of like Guinevere wanting Arthur to like actually be into her and love her and all this stuff, but he won't, and all this, and I'm just like, at this point I'm bored. Let me just see the Lancelot loving, okay? Let me see the lesbian loving. Let me see the ladies loving, okay? Okay? And then the last book I have to talk about. I'm pretty far into this, I'm pretty sure. I'm about a third. I'm just under a third of the way through. 126 pages into this bad boy. I wish I started annotating this in the beginning, because I'm gonna have to reread it so that I can annotate it, because like there's so many great lines in this. Basically everyone in the entourage has magic or is fae in some way other than Arthur, right? So Guinevere, it comes from this land. It kind of reminds me of Transylvania, actually, where she comes from, where they have the ability to transform things. There's like werewolves, stuff like that, right? Morgana has magic, which kind of expected. Lancelot's mother was like a mermaid god, and his father was human, so he's like half fae. And then Elaine, the main character, she sees visions of the future. She's an oracle. It starts out like when she was young, she only saw it in dreams, but now she has trained in a way to like see things other ways, so it doesn't like affect her dreams and whatnot, right? And let me tell you, the writing of this, it gives me Addie LaRue, but Arthurian, and I already love Addie LaRue, right? So like, yeah, the way it's written, especially with time, this makes almost no sense unless if you've read Addie LaRue, I feel like. But basically the way it's written in time, because she's a seer, she knows the future, but she also like the past, so like, and the present is all being talked about at the same time, so it switches between the three. So like she'll be thinking or experiencing something in the moment, and she'll be talking about how she knows that will affect the future, or she will be thinking about something and then talk about how that specific thing happened in the past that caused this to happen, and how she knows this will lead to this. Like, the way it jumps around like that, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. The writing alone, genius. Okay, listen, the very beginning of this book, the very beginning, is an author's note. That's all, like, because, like, I mean, I already brought up the fact that she kills herself. In this version, she drowns. So, like, suicide a theme in this. So, like, it has an author's note of, like, hey, this is a thing, just so you know. Here's, like, a bunch of resources. And then it goes to chapter 1, which is exactly 1 page long. And it's about, it starts with, and I quote, "I will die drowning." Okay? Like, it starts with the first ever dream she ever saw as a seer, which is the one of her death, where she drowns, and how she will choose it of herself, and do it on purpose, by choice. And then it goes into the book, and there's another part where, like, so they're at, like, Camelot now, right? Uther has died, Arthur is trying to get his throne, but Mordred, his half-brother from his father's side, has taken the throne, and has more claim to it because he married Arthur's other half-sister, who is the twin sister of Morgause, from his mother, from a previous marriage. Like, she had the twins, and then she got with Arthur's father, had Arthur, and then Uther had Mordred with some other woman. Right? So they're, like, technically not related, but they've been raised together. And Morgana is even like, that's a little weird, my dude. That's a little weird. But technically they are the child of both the king and queen. So, yeah, basically they arrive on the coronation, as Merlin's about to crown Mordred as king. Right. And so, basically they have to do these trials. The first one he already passed, which was basically proving that he is Arthur's son, with blood magic, right? That Merlin does. And then the second one is to go to basically the land, that name I can't pronounce, where Guinevere's from, where Guinevere, when they like all left Avalon, they separated from Guinevere, so Guinevere could go to her family home first, right? The second one is to get them to join the family, or come under Camelot, because like people have tried forever, it hasn't worked out. Unbeknownst to them, him and Guinevere already a thing, and like it was already a low-key plan that they would get married once he got the throne. So like he's just gotta show up, be like, hey, and then the end. I mean, it's gonna be a real simple test. So far most of the test it's been like a lot more of them trying to navigate this whole world of the royals and rich people in Camelot, especially since Arthur was raised with the Fae, not in Camelot, so he doesn't really understand how this world works. Lancelot, raised with the Fae, doesn't understand how this world works. Morgana is technically part of this community, but like she doesn't understand it really because she was also raised by the Fae. And Nimue, the Lady of the Lake, so like she doesn't fully understand it. Right? And so the only people who really understand it is assumably Gwen. I don't know, I haven't seen her, but Elaine. So she's like basically standing up against all of these people, using political and rich people warfare, with the way like she talks and whatnot to do it, while also like trying to navigate with like all the visions and what she knows has to happen and all this stuff. And I will talk about how I explained this book to H, and now H wants to read it. But another great line that I have to bring up is like she knows that she dies because of something Lancelot does, right? And so like she kills herself, right? She knows that that's gonna happen. She knows the whole entire him and Guinevere coming together, and then because of it, Arthur is distraught and goes to battle against Mordred and ends up basically letting Mordred kill him because he doesn't feel like life's worth living, and she ends up killing herself from side effect of all this happening, right? Right? So they're in Camelot, and they were like kind of a thing when they were at Avalon with Faes, but now like they're in Camelot, and things are different, the rules are different, and so in order to be like him to just like kiss her all the time, she's like, no, like you can't do that unless we're like married here, all this stuff, and I gotta like try to like make myself seem similar to these people so that they respect me, right? And so he's like, marry me, and she says, no, I'm not gonna marry you just so you can kiss me and bed me. Like, there should be love. And so she asks if he loves her, and he says, yes, sometimes I love you so much that it feels like it's gonna be the death of me. And she internally is like, yeah, I know this feeling, except I know for a fact it will kill me. That's basically what she thinks. It's not an exact quote because I don't remember the exact quote, but the way it's written, spectacular. Okay? But basically, quoting me to H, yesterday when I was reading this, basically, I mean, should I look it up? I mean, okay, my mom came home so weird, cut. Also, there's sound in the room now, you can probably hear her. But now, I'm gonna describe this book, after all that rambling, like I did to H. First of all, I said that was melancholy, and also it gives cold, wet vibes, which makes no sense to anyone other than H, I'm pretty sure, because I'm pretty sure H is the first person I heard explain books as cold and wet, which, like, made no sense, but, like, logically I know it makes no sense, but, like, it's perfect, like, this book perfectly can be described as that. I think I moved a little. It's fine. So yeah, and not only because of the drowning thing. But also, basically, what was I saying? I need to be melancholy. Also, us as a reader and Lane as like the seer know what's destined to happen, right? Right? We know what happens. But also we have to watch and experience as Elaine tries to just live her life, but also try to make decisions for what that are best for everyone, but also to like possibly have a chance to change the future and whatnot. So like we are watching her do this, knowing chances are it's not gonna be able to change it. It's gonna happen, right? And she knows that too. But also, like, there's just like a tiny little inkling in the back of your brain that's just like, maybe, like, we know, yeah, it probably won't change, but like, just tiny little sprinkle in the back of the brain, just like, that beyond hope is just like, maybe she can do it. Maybe she can do it. Maybe she can do it. And I don't know which way I want it to go. I don't know if I want her to be able to change it or her to, like, everything to happen and she dies in the end. Like, I don't know which one. But yeah, that's like a fun experience. But yeah, I'm really liking this. So it is slow paced. And normally I'd like try to find an audiobook. I did briefly contemplate it to like speed it up the process, but with the switches of like time, when she is talking about this, like the before she goes to Avalon when she's a kid, the time she's in Avalon, and then after Avalon in Camelot, but then also like talking about just visions in general, which are even further in the future usually, right? But also sometimes are like talked about from like in her past, talking about stuff currently that she saw in visions. So all of that is like happening throughout chapters, like sometimes it switches in the middle of the chapter and whatnot. So I think just doing audiobook would make that difficult to understand. But at least reading along, I think it would be fine. But like, I think doing it with my eyeballs is the best way. So yeah, that's it. That's the update. I'll update you when I finish a book. Who knows when that will be. Hello. 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks, 13 days is not a time that I didn't finish a book. Am I okay? Like, honestly, I know the answer. The answer is no. Yeah, for most of that time, for most of the month, I've basically read 40-ish pages a day, which is like fine. That's normal. That's like not a bad thing in particular, but like, I mean, even if in that whole time I was doing that for just one book, I would have finished that book in that time. But I was doing it with 3 different books and switching between them, so it was very chaotic time. Anyways, I finally finished one of the books for this vlog yesterday. I remembered the last time I filmed, I said I would update you when I read one of the books. It's been like over a week since then. So yay! I'm like a good chunk through the other 2. I do plan to finish Legenborn today so I can start the other one, Bloodmarked. But yeah, I got updates. I finished the Camelot Betrayal. That's the name of it. Ow. That was my foot. I finally finished that one yesterday. I was like, before yesterday, I was 20% of the way through. I was slowly reading it. And then yesterday, on sprints, I just decided to do, reading sprints instead of writing sprints because I'm so fucking behind. I decided to just like speed it up as far as I could understand it, like as high as I could, and just read along on my Kindle until I finished it, which I did last night. So I went from 28% to finishing it yesterday, and it is fine. The way I described it in my 1 sentence on Goodreads is like, it's just a book of side quests. Very pointless side quests. Also, one of the main conflicts that the main characters have to go throughout this whole entire book wasn't actually a conflict the whole time. They just made it a conflict for no fucking reason. And It was so dumb. I still don't trust Arthur. There's stuff with like Arthur and a secret kid at the end of this one. She's with Mordred now. She's separated from Camelot and therefore Lancelot. Lancelot, literally at the end, she's like, if you love me, you have to let me do this. And then Lancelot's like literally crying, and she's like, it's okay, I love you too. And then puts up the border separating them. Great times. Great times. But yeah, I think technically she's been kidnapped again. We meet Morgana. I actually like Morgana's character. The sad part is that, like, there's so much in this book that hints at greatness. Like, there's stuff of Guinevere trying to figure out what is actually her history and what Merlin just put in her head. There's the idea that she's the actual real Guinevere. Because her sister, there's like this whole thing where her sister shows, I don't remember what I told you the last time I updated, but her sister comes, or Guinevere's sister comes, and she recognizes her as the real Guinevere. And it's like, she's the actual sister, like, there's no, like, negative anything there. That was basically the whole entire conflict. That wasn't a conflict. She thought that her sister was evil and all this stuff, but no, she wasn't. She was just a 14-year-old girl who was scared of her dad. Like, that's it. But yeah, she recognizes her as the real Guinevere. There's no magic that has altered her mind or anything to make her think so. And then there's like some weird memories that may not be memories, but may be memories with Merlin. And so Morgana thinks that she's the actual real Guinevere, that Merlin basically tortured. Merlin, not a good person, throughout this whole entire book, or the series, I guess. And the way that it's like supposed to be looked upon before this, like the way that Arthur looks at it is that Merlin is the good guy who helped him out, and like we should trust Merlin. Meanwhile, Guinevere's there just like, this is the man who helped your father R-word your mother to make it so you could exist, and does not care about the negative impact that his actions cause on other people as long as you are king. Like, it does not matter to him, the negative impact of other people. Like, that's like a whole thing through it. The way that Guinevere has to handle the fact, because she does kill some people with the power of dragon. I'm still sad about the dragon. With the power of dragon, she kills some people, and she erases one guy's like whole entire mind, basically erasing who he is as a being. Not a good guy. And all this stuff, and all of it was in self-defense, but like she starts to recognize that she kind of does a similar thing where she does things, reacts to things in a way that she doesn't understand the repercussions until after they've already happened. But she does hers in self-defense, but like also she feels bad about the repercussions that happen after the fact, right? There's at least that going for her. But yeah, there's like a lot of stuff in this book that like hint at greatness, but it's just so mid, and I didn't care about any of it, which is probably why I just never picked the book up. I just kept on just like reading other things instead because I just didn't care. And also, where's my Lancelot romance? I just want my Lancelot romance in this book, okay? I still don't trust Arthur. The way that Arthur is very on Team Merlin despite knowing at least some of the stuff that Merlin has done, and then she tries to explain to him why she can't fully trust Merlin because the way that he's constantly lied and betrayed her, and she doesn't even know who she is because of this man, and he's like, but he's Merlin. Like, he'd rather trust this man who helped his father R-word his mother than trust his half-sister who he was told tried to kill him, but says that she never did, and there was no, like, as far as Guinevere can tell, there was no lying. Like, she's just a normal woman who fell in love with Faye, and so had Mordred, and then Mordred tried to bring back, like, the people that Arthur killed in his and Merlin's need to, like, kill all magic, especially dark magic, but, like, is it really dark magic? Because technically all they've done is protect women who are being attacked by men and stuff like that. So, like, by all sense of the word, like, technically, I think Merlin and an extension Arthur are on the wrong side, and she's trying to explain, every time she tries to explain it to him, he's just like, no, but it's Merlin, and am I making sense? Probably not. Basically, it was made, and I rated it 3 stars, which is just sad because I really like the first one. I will continue the series at some point. I don't know. Not many people apparently continued on from the second one to the third one. Apparently a lot of people gave up, which I love that for me. Now on to the second book. I decided to start Once and Future last night, before I went to bed. I got about 10% in. I read the first 2 chapters, and then I DNF'd it. I don't know how to describe the writing style, just know that I didn't like it. As soon as I went into it, like, I didn't like it. Like, less than a page in, I was like, wait, I'm not having a good time here. And I went to look at reviews to see if other people were in the same vein as me, and literally one of the first ones I saw was someone who DNF'd it, I think twice as far as I was in, so around 20%. I think they were like 68 pages in, and I was only 10% in, so around 20-ish%, who DNF'd it, and said basically, you know when you take a bite of something and you just instantly know it's not gonna be good, like, right? You can't put your, like, you can't figure out why it's not good, you just instantly know it's not good. That was the book. That was the book. So yay, on that front. Also, every review that I saw before I got to that review was 3-star reviews. It has a pretty low average rating. It's like a 3.56, so I don't feel bad about DNFing it, at this point. Because statistically, I wouldn't like it either. You know, if generally people don't like it, I don't like the writing style already. And also, the characters piss me off already, and I couldn't. So basically, Ari, is the reincarnation of Arthur. Every once in a while, there's reincarnation of Arthur who pulls the sword out of the whatever it is. It's not always a stone. Apparently one time it was out of the sewer grate. And then Morgana comes out and is reawoken, and then Merlin is awoken in a cave. But every time Merlin is younger and younger, so now technically Merlin's a teenager, which means he has like the memories and knowledge and stuff of like old Merlin, of having to do this 43 times because Ari's the 43rd Merlin or Arthur, but he's got the mental processes of a teenage boy. Like, when he meets Ari, he has her pinch him, and he's like, oh my god, I'm not sleeping. I'm like, what? It's not good. I think, Ari's also, like, supposed to be, like, not like other girls, but also not like other Arthurs, because she is, 1, a girl, and 2, older than they generally are. I think it said, like, somewhere around, like, the 8 to, like, 13 range is when they are, when they pull the sword out. She's, like, 16, 17, I think. So, yeah, good times. But yeah, it's basically this constant cycle where an Arthur pulls out the sword, he tries to help them to get them on the throne and fix the universe, but before that can happen, usually Morgana ends up killing him, or something like that happens, I guess. Also, didn't recognize that whatever happened when she pulled the sword out of the tree, it was a tree this time, Morgana was coming. I didn't recognize that was happening. I was like, what? Yeah, there is, yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know how to describe why I don't like this book. I just don't. I don't like either Ari or Merlin's character. The character I like the most is her adopted brother, Kay, I guess. And whatnot. I feel like there was something else I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah. So, I, like, was trying to figure out in bed last night. I was just laying there, half asleep, like, why do I not like the writing style? And I don't think it's, like, it's not the whole reason why. Like, I can't even understand why I don't like the writing style. It's, like, I just know I don't like it. But, like, 10% of it, I think, is because it's supposed to be, like, this YA lighthearted thing, the way it's written. But this is also a book in which 42 generations of Arthurs have been, like, murdered and killed. And, there's, like, imagine Amazon in space. That's the best way I can think of it. That, like, basically runs the galaxy. And then a group of people, who are, like, a different, I think they're from, like, a different planet or something. Because, like, Earth is no longer livable, right? So, like, they live on the different space stations. And so, I don't know if it's, like, a different planet, space station, what. But, this group of people was like, hey, I don't remember the name of the company in the actual book, so I'm just gonna say Space Amazon. Space Amazon, kind of evil. The way that they monopolize everything and basically own the galaxy, not a good thing. And the way they treat people, not a good thing. Maybe we should stop that. And then as soon as they started to do that, Space Amazon was like, actually, they're like very bad and dangerous, so we're gonna just kick them out and make it so that these people can't like do anything. And so basically these people, the specific group of people, is hunted down and targeted. Basically racial profiling, which is the same group of people that Ari's part of, which is why they're on the run throughout this book, I assume. So, you know, good times. And her adopted moms who took her in and helped her and saved her life at one point when she was like a kid, when they found her and all this stuff, when they tried to take her like back to her home world, and they were caught, they were incarcerated, and it is believed until around the end of chapter 1, we don't need to talk about it, that they were actually like executed because of this. Like this, like, I think it's supposed to be an allegory for racial profiling, but also it's lighthearted, and I don't understand how it doesn't, how is it lighthearted, but also this, and also like Amazon in space destroying the world. But that's fine because it's Amazon in space. Evil corporation stuff, like, am I making sense? No, it makes, basically, I hated it. So I didn't have to, I'm pretty sure someone in the comments of my TBR said they heard bad things about this book, and I understand now. I was like very excited, I was very happy. I mean, that cover is gorgeous, but no. Here we are now. I give up. I DNF'd that one. Which means I now have more time to read the other ones. But yeah, I'm gonna go, finish Legendborn, I guess. There's less time I thought left in the audiobook. So, you know, good times. I have no clue who's going up and down my road. But yeah. I'm gonna go. This is long enough already. We don't need to talk about it. And, yeah, I'll talk to you probably when I finish Half Sick of Shadows, because I'm, like, almost done with that one. I'm over halfway done. And I'm having a good time. At least that one's good. At least that one's good. Oh, hello. I have an update. It is the Saturday that this technically is supposed to go up, but it's probably going up the Sunday. I know this. That being said, I do plan to finish bloodmarked today. It's just so that I have time to edit, because I have other stuff going on today as well, including cleaning the pool. What, it's 50 degrees outside, and the pool's not warm yet because it's 50 degrees outside. So, as you can imagine, I'm freezing to death. Also, it just started to rain. Mom switched places with me because I was out there for an hour, and having to reach down and get all the leaves, because it clogs it, if you don't do that too often. I was a little cold. So I came inside and ran hot water to do dishes for her, to warm up. But I do plan to finish this today. I'm just under halfway through. I'm screaming, crying, throwing up. It's good. I don't want to say much because it's a sequel, but it's great. I love it. I am annotating it. I mean, if you can't tell from all these tabs. I am also filming read with me with it. Well, I also filmed half of them with this, but I only have to film 2 more, so like I'm not gonna worry about that. But yeah, I think because I'm also listening to the audiobook at the same time, I think I have like around 3.5 hours left, so totally doable. Very exciting. And yeah, that's the update on that one. This one I did finish a few days ago. I totally did not cry, which is a lie. I 100% did. So it got down to like the last like 39 to 30 pages, right? And there was like a lot of stuff to happen. I've already talked about the Rice-Owl house, which is back and forth a lot between like the past, the current, and the future due to her dreams. And so like we know what's supposed to happen, what's currently happening, the decisions that she's making now because of the dreams that she has, and then also things that happened in the past that relate to all those, right? So the last like 39 to 30 pages, I was like, wait a second, how the hell are we gonna wrap this up? But Arthur's barely, like, in those 9 pages, Arthur gets onto the throne. I'm like, bitch, the fuck? What the hell's happening? There's still so much going on, and we're almost done with the book. Like, come on, what? And then around to the last 30% or 30%, 30 pages, I had an idea what was going to happen at the end. And I was started to like tear up because I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, there's no way that's going to happen. Last 20 pages. She starts going through with I was right. And I know that for a fact. Like, around the last 20 pages, I keep on wanting to say percentage, pages. At the last 20 pages, I learned, oh, yeah, the thing that I thought was going to happen, that almost made me cry, is going to happen. That's actually her plan. So I start tearing up some more. And then the last 9 pages is her going through with it. And then how she literally did change the whole entire timeline. Like, the way that this whole entire book is her trying to change the future that she sees as the future becomes more and more clear based off of her decisions. And then she learns that Nimue lied to her all those years ago and the future is not changeable. And the only thing that can slightly change it is Elaine, but like there's no like big changes. And then she does the thing that she does at the very end, which is something she wasn't supposed to do for like decades. She does it early because she recognizes her own mistakes and the only way she can think to solve them is by doing this. Yeah, which like Dim was like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. So like the chances are she may change it, but not really. Like, same stuff happens, it just happens earlier, because it's destined to happen and all this stuff. But because of this, like, some small things have changed. Like, Gwen, who was destined to be in a convent, and never see, like, the light of day ever again, after everything, living her best life, as the king of, or the queen of her own country. Morgana, who is destined to become the goddess of death, she no longer becomes the goddess of death because she does not have the anger based off of the thing that happens, and the whole entire thing that Elaine does at the end of the book is to reverse that thing that she did, so she no longer has the anger revolving around that causes her to get to the point where she becomes the goddess of death, so she does not become the goddess of death. Right? Like, Lancelot and Arthur still die in battle and all this stuff, but I think, like, the whole entire thing is, like, they couldn't change the big things that were gonna happen. Those were destined to happen, but despite that, they were still able to be the people that they wanted to be, not the people they were, like, supposed to become, like the evil woman that they were supposed to become. Because it's mostly those three that changed, right? The three women. Like, instead of being people who hate each other and fight and all this stuff, with all this darkness in themselves that cause a bunch of bad things happening, because this one change, they now are, I don't want to say happier, but they're not evil. They're not darkness incarnate, all this fun stuff. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but yeah, it's a good time. Also, hear me out, my favorite scene. So, at one point, Lancelot and Elaine do get engaged, but he technically doesn't have a title or anything, and so her father, who's in Lord, is like, I don't know about this, and she's like, listen, he's like a literal knight, he's a right side man to Arthur, he's a good fighter, all this stuff, and I will marry him without your, like, permission. I just thought you'd want my permission. And, like, it comes up with this whole idea to do a tournament, where Lancelot fights for her hand, against a bunch of other guys who could also win her hand, and also, like, land and money, and whatnot, also come with part of the deal, and so Lancelot's out here fighting, and Gwen is watching this whole entire tournament, kind of sad because she, as a queen now, not allowed to fight in tournaments, despite the fact that she could easily defeat I say most, all of them. The only one she'd really have trouble with would be Lancelot, maybe, So so to Elaine, her spirits, Elaine says, "It's a real shame you can't be down there, Gwen. We would have made a great couple. But it's a real shame that the kingdom doesn't accept polyamory." And then she said, Gwen said, "Oh no, that's a real shame. We'd be a great couple. We would," because like she's the brains behind Arthur's kingdom, right? So the two of them together, powerful couple right there, right? And they're literally flirting about this. And Arthur's right there. And he's like, "Guys." And it was the best scene in this book, okay? I was laughing despite the fact that a lot of sad stuff was also happening at the same time. But yeah, I read this. It was good. 4 stars. I'm gonna have to reread it at some point because I want to annotate it so bad. Around 100 pages in, I recognized how badly I wanted to annotate it, and very sad that I didn't start to instantly in the beginning. But now I know. So that's the thing I want to do at some point. But yeah, that's the update. Kind of short one. I'll talk to you, I don't know, late tonight, early tomorrow, with final thoughts on Bloodmarked. So, good times. As long as this is out by midnight tomorrow, I don't care anymore. Oh, I'm in the same outfit, but it's the next day, like 2:30 p.m. And I just finished this. Well, I finished it like an hour ago, but then I read the extra chapter. Well, one of my favorite chapters, chapter 51. This version has it as an extended where you get to see more of Sel and Nick's background and why they're the way they are. If you can't tell, I had a good time. We're not gonna talk about the yellows. Also, if you just ignore the yellow and red, I accidentally made the bi flag. I'm pretty sure this is pinkish purple, and then this is purple. So if you just, there's also one green because of that extra chapter. But I finished it. I don't know what to say. This is great. I was trying to figure out what to rate it while I was reading that extra long chapter volume thing. And I went with 5 stars because I was trying to think if it impacted me the same amount as the first one, which I was like, no, it doesn't. But then I was like, but that's 100% lie, because I was screaming and freaking out and making gremlin noises the whole time I was reading this. Like, I can tell you that on page 480, I literally screamed, okay? I made a literal gremlin. It was, and all this stuff. So, like, it still impacted me faster, also, because, like, while Sel is still his way where he's a jerk all the time, in the beginning of this book, like he was for the first, like, 200 to 300 pages in the first one, and that one, like, it was more annoying the second time around. Like, I understood that he was gonna become not as much of a jerk and all this stuff, once he recognized, but, like, it was still annoying when I reread it. This one, I was a little annoyed because it didn't really explain why he was annoyed, but then I got it, which is basically he called her love, and a bunch of other stuff at the end of the last book, like one of the last 2 pages, and then she didn't think to look it up until, like, near the end of this book. So she didn't recognize that he cared for her until literally page 480. This is why I screamed. Literally. This is by Hell Loop, okay? I got like 4 pages of them being cute, like them making out, them talking about their feelings, and that he likes her, and that she has feelings for him too, but, like, she has to figure them out because she's also kind of seeing Nick still, technically, and what to do with all this stuff and how that's going down, but, like, she doesn't regret kissing Sel, and it was very cute, and then everything went to shit, and this is by Hell Loop. I got 4 pages of what I was asking for. So clearly it impacted me. I think if I went with not even 0.5, but 0.2, like, quarter star ratings, it would be more of a 4.75 technically, but, like, it's not that much of a difference to really care. I love this. I was ready to riot. At one point I thought Sel had died, and I was prepared to commit murder I'm okay in the head. But yes, this was a book. It was great. Things happened. The way it ended, I literally screamed, "What?" And then had to look it up. And even though Goodreads and Storygraph, I think Storygraph as well, only have it as being a duology, I looked it up, and some places say it's a trilogy. Which, like, I guess it could end where it ended and just be done there. But there's so many questions left unanswered. But, like, they could be left unanswered and it's not that big of a deal. But I want my answers. Okay? Is my cell okay? That's really the real important one. But yeah, are any of us surprised I love this? I mean, come on. Legendborn is one of my favorite books of all time. It's, like, in my top 5. So, of course, it's just gonna be, the series is in my top 5. And yeah, I mean, Cell is the background on my phone. Right? So, like, we should understand this. But yeah, I love how I left the 2 books I liked the most until the very end. I don't understand me either. I guess I can do a closing thing where I do a quick rundown because it's been, like, so long. I'm pretty sure this vlog could be over an hour long, and also it's been, like, the whole entire month for me. So I will go grab the other physical books real quick, which is great because then I get to put them away on my shelves. I have, like, a separate section on my shelves where I'm going to put this series, and I'm very excited, okay? I'm very excited. In order, we got Avalon High. A pretty, like, I don't know how I feel about it. It was such a long time ago that I read it, so the most I remember is that it's very different from the movie in some aspects, and I kind of prefer the movie. But also I get why I did it. The best thing about this book is that it taught me who Elaine was for, like, this book, which was kind of important. I think she's also brought up in the Camelot betrayal. I'll talk about that in a second. But yes, I'm pretty sure I rated it 2 stars. If not, I'll have it up on screen what I've really rated it. It was fine, but also a letdown, and I'm pretty sure Meg Cabot is not for me. Okay, it's fine. It's whatever. And then I read the Camelot betrayal, which I rated 3 stars, and was just a letdown in so many ways. It kind of answered absolutely 0 questions, kind of completely pointless. Every conflict it brought up, it didn't matter, because it wasn't actually a conflict. And Elaine was brought up. I don't know if I brought it up earlier when I was talking about it, but in the first book, you briefly learn that Arthur fell in love with a woman. She ended up getting pregnant and dying in childbirth, and so did the baby, assumably. And her brother is a bad guy in the first book, who kidnaps and stuff with Gwen, and it is a fun time. And her name was Elaine. That was Elaine. So that was fun. But yeah, it was kind of pointless. I guess I get to finish the series now. I'm excited to finish the series. 1, to see if I'm right about Arthur, but 2, just so I can be done with it, because at this point, I'm just tired. Once in Future was a book that I instantly hated the writing style of. But I did it. I say I did it. I read 10%. I got through 10%. I forced myself through 10%. Hated every single character. And literally was bothered so much by certain aspects that they did that changed the story. Like, why is Merlin a super genius who's also, like, a 16-year-old boy who acts like a 16-year-old boy, but also, like, a super genius? I'm supposed to expect him to be, like, a super all-knowing genius, but, like, all this stuff, right? Didn't like it, DNF'd it. Half Sick of Shadows, a book that is very sad. I cried. I think the only one of these that I cried for. 4 stars. I'm going to have to reread it at some point to annotate it. It's going to be lots of blues and greens for the tabs. I'm very excited for it. Good thing I bought so many tabs. But yeah, this was great. I really get why it says feminist retelling on Goodreads. Because reading the author's note, I get why she did the way she did. And all this stuff. It was heartbreaking throughout the whole entire thing. I get the reason why the writing style was the way it was with the time stuff, jumping back and forth. And I didn't mind it. Like, it reminded me a little bit of Addie LaRue in that way, which I really love. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next time I read it, if I would notice things that are important for the future, knowing how it ends now, like Addie LaRue. And rate it higher. I wouldn't be surprised when I reread it if it does that. But yeah, that was a good time. I brought this with me. I reread this 5 stars. Great. Read this 5 stars. Great. These are my, why would you do that to me? These are my greatest prized possessions. Okay. I love them. They're going on my shelves right next to my actual, like, Le Morte d'Arthur book, collector's edition. They're gonna go right there next to him. So yeah, they're so thick. I think this one may be as thick as that one, and that one is really thin paper. Interesting. But yeah, that's it. That's everything that happened as well. That is very late. I'm gonna go edit the whole entire thing right now. Pray for me. At least I don't have to add the book cover everywhere because there were only 2 ebooks. At least that's going for me. But yeah, the next video, of course, is gonna be the wrap up. And the next vlog is going to be the weekend reading vlog for May. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, also, if you like want to see me possibly freak out in the shadows while I read this, I did film read with me's with this, and you may be able to see my reaction to the shadows. It'll be just freaking out at certain scenes. It's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, that's that. And until the next video.